result of nature's fury, or are they substantially a man-made disaster? Here is a ready reckoner that explains the floods that have wreaked Uttarakhand. The big question we're asking tonight is rampant development and construction to blame for the tragedy in made disaster? To discuss, the Project Foundation India is also with us. I welcome you all to Newsnight. Let me begin with you, Mr. Joshi. Deforestation, mining projects, series of dams, indiscriminate encroachment on river beds and unplanned infrastructure development. Is the disaster that we are seeing today a man-made one? Was it waiting to happen? With you, Shekhar Singh, was this a man-made disaster?
Well, certainly many aspects of it were because of the contribution of all of us. First of all, the rampant deforestation in that region for the last 50-60 years has made what was already a fragile ecosystem even more fragile. One of the things that happens with deforestation is that the ability of the ecosystem to absorb.
Years ago, carried out an environment assessment of two rivers, Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, and that mushrooming hydroelectric projects as well as deforestation is increasing the possibility of such flash floods. It is self-evident that that CAG report was not heeded to. What does this say about the administration? Mr. Ghosh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was asking you that.
Well, I would agree with the CAG's findings that deforestation certainly contributes to flash floods. Though in this particular case, the level of precipitation, the intensity of precipitation and the duration was such that even if the forest had been completely intact, impact of the flash floods. But this is not to say that storage hydropower does not have its own environmental problems. But in this case, I don't think we can blame the dams for the flash floods. They have served, in fact, to mitigate it to some extent.
But the CAG has clearly said that the hydroelectric power projects on these two river beds as well as deforestation has increased the possibility of flash floods. This was the warning given by it to the central as well as state government 3 years ago. Usual, and suddenly disaster strikes, and it's the same approach again.
I think it's a combination of many factors. Mr. Singh has also said that it will be totally wrong to say that it's entirely due to the man-made action. Dams on the rivers, etc., and all that, it all contributes. Climate change is a reality now. For us to say and wish it away that climate change is not happening, I think would be a foolhardy thing to say that. The scientists have determined decidedly, conclusively, that climate change is happening, and it's happening because of the greenhouse gases which are being emitted due to from the industries, from the vehicular movement that is happening, and it's happening rampant. The atmosphere of the earth is becoming thicker, and that is one of the biggest reasons why, when these gases get trapped, the planet starts warming up. When the planet starts warming up, the sea waters also warm up. So precipitation is greater both from the sea and from the land, causing on one hand droughts on the land, and on the other hand what we call as the extreme weather events.
So Mr. Kadra, are you saying that if global warming is not controlled, then the unpredictability of monsoons, the likelihood of droughts, even food scarcity, etc., will only increase?
That's what I'm saying. Scientists have come conclusively with the fact that over 650,000 years, such changes did not happen. The concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere remained in the range of about 250 to 280 parts per million. Suddenly, over the last 50 years or 60 years, it's risen now to 400. And there is a direct relationship between the concentration of carbon dioxide, that's the main GHG, there are many other GHGs also, and the temperature of the planet. And temperature of the planet, average temperature has been around 15 degrees centigrade, which supports human life.
The government should have said was that you have to have here development which is ecologically appropriate. So you don't build huge structures, for example, which that thing, you develop the sort of economic activities which can be sustained out there. Now, it is, you see, they're talking about how it will take 1,000 crores to rehabilitate the damage, and that's today's figures. By the time we finish, it will be 5,000 crores. Wouldn't it have been better to spend
Satellite communication system is not fully operational. If this is the state of our premier National Disaster Management Agency, then what should the common man expect?
Well, disaster management is a very important policy issue in India, and the country is beset by all kinds of disasters every year. Now the NDMA has been set up only for the last few years, and there's a lot of capacity it has built, as was demonstrated.
To change the focus of disaster management from relief-centric and post-event centric to mitigation-centric and prevention-centric as much as is possible. But again, the failure of that is self-evident. Also, there was no reserve force in Uttarakhand when such a disaster happened, despite claims by the Met Department that there was forewarning given to both the Himachal Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand governments about the possibility of heavy rainfall, some 4 to 5 days in advance, they claim.
Well, certainly, as I said, that the NDMA needs significant capacity building. But also, the NDMA is not an agency which is responsible for enforcing building regulations or regulations concerning infrastructure. That is the work of the relevant state and in some cases the central agencies. So when you say that
change the lifestyle and thus reduce CO2 emissions and global warming across the world?
I think things are happening, but before I give my argument, I'm reminded of Mahatma Gandhi's saying, who I think was a great environmentalist himself.
Wanted your opinion on whether you think it is possible to strike a balance between security as well as environment protection, because the Uttarakhand government says that it wants the notification which bars any sort of development in the 100-kilometer stretch along the Bhagirathi to be revoked, because that region borders China and that may compromise the national security.
Well, I think what we are witnessing today and what we are
is the political establishment giving into various sorts of pressures, be it pressures from commercial establishments or interests or pressures from mining lobbies, because all this is going on unabated and it's been very long. As I said, 7 such disasters have taken place in Rudraprayag in the past 34 years.
Yeah, clearly there are 4 types of pressures working predominantly. One is the populist pressure, where people want short-term gains out of these things. And this is not populist pressure of the local population, but populist pressure of people coming from outside who want to set up allies. What the consequences of these actions should be. So they feel that anybody who talks about the environment is a anti-national, doesn't want development to take place. And the 4th is a lack of sensitivity about future generations. So they're not asking the question, what will our children do? What will our grandchildren do? After all, the world is not going to finish with us. So these are at least 4 types of pressures that are working. I'm sure there are others. And it seems to me that if we could not prevent such a disaster, at least let us use this. Let us use the tragedy that has taken place to reinforce and in some senses educate ourselves, especially the bureaucrats, the policy makers and the politicians, that you cannot have a secure India if you're going to have the whole population of that place starving to death or being washed away. What sort of security are you going to present there?
Absolutely. I'll come to you, Mr. Ghosh, now. It was way back, Mr. Ghosh, in 1975 that the centre sent a draft floodplains zoning bill to state governments and asked them to enact the legislation. Only 2 state governments have done it so far. One is Rajasthan and the other is Manipur. So what does this say about our political will to fight such situations?
Well, I mean, the answer is lies exactly in the fact that only 2 state governments have enacted such a bill. And I think that I hope disasters like this one certainly concentrate